Hey guys, what is up? Richie here, bringing you the Vyllence in this latest video, where today I wanted to share with you guys the main reason why I decided to switch my gaming platform from consoles to PC. Now mind you, I still play on consoles, I've been playing Final Fantasy 15 for a while and I'm loving it, but the truth is, if I had the choice, I'd rather play this on my PC. But, it's just things like that. The decision really didn't come about by graphics, even though it's a solid fact that, a decent build will outperform any console any day, or even the game sales, even though it's a solid fact that most third-party games not only run better on PC, but are cheaper on PC. Honestly, this decision came about mostly because of the relationship that I've observed between companies and consumers between consumers. When it comes to PC gaming, companies are usually held accountable for making bad decisions. Take for example the whole Intel versus AMD thing. For those of you who have not been keeping up with PCs at all, Intel has reigned supreme when it came to CPUs, because while AMD was generally cheaper and on paper it had a lot more offerings, more multi-core CPUs, higher clock speeds, sometimes they go up to 5.1 gigahertz, and also better support for overclocking. Intel still whooped it because in this instance it was quality over quantity. A 4-core Intel i5, not even the i7, the i5, was generally considered superior to any 6-core, 7-core, 8-core FX CPU because it offered better performance per core, a lower TDP, and more L2 and L3 cache. But have times changed? As of this year, AMD announced their new Ryzen CPUs, the Ryzen 3, the Ryzen 5, and the Ryzen 7 respectively. Now initially, these CPUs were met with skepticism because AMD had not had a good track record of coming out with CPUs. But honestly, there were so many benchmarks that were flooding YouTube through Linus, Paul's Hardware, and Jay's 2 cents. And it's so funny to see this $300 to $400 CPU from AMD mop the floor with Intel's $1,000+ CPU. That was like a major upset to anyone who invested a lot of money into Intel CPUs. Now, due to complacency, when a lot of people asked Intel to clap back, their clapback was less than favorable. Since then, Intel has announced a new Kaby Lake X lineup coming up with the new i9 CPUs on a new chipset, the X299. Now, the X299 was supposed to be the spiritual successor to the X99 chipset, which is supposed to be their enthusiast CPU lineup. But if you ask me, it's all overpriced garbage really. Because literally the only people who could afford the X99 chipset were those who were sponsored by Intel or by other companies who would give them the CPUs for free, or those who had the money to waste. The main thing about any X or extreme chipset was that they had a lot of cores, but yet each core had a lower clock speed, which is just not good for gaming at all. And a lot of their consumers are thinking, what the F is this? Because Kaby Lake X not only removed so many features from the older CPUs and disabled a lot of features that the motherboards themselves would provide, but they also have a higher TDP and require a higher premium to switch your chipsets over. And it just makes no sense to a lot of consumers, including myself. Hell, for the price of an i9 CPU at $1,000+, you could fully build a beastly Ryzen 7 1800X system. Now, mind you, the i9 would offer marginally better FPS in a few games, but regardless, to have to pay double to achieve only a slight boost in performance, that's wrong, seriously. Now, because of this, more people are switching their preferred go-to CPUs from Intel to AMD. And as a result, Intel is losing market share, and it's now up to Intel to ensure that in their next cycle, they come up with something that not only performs better, but has a better price point. Now, the TLDR of all of my ramblings is that whenever a PC manufacturing company comes up with something good, they're initially met with skepticism, then there's testing, then the benchmarks are found, and if it's proven that it's good, then they gain the respect and the patronage that they deserve. However, when a company comes up with something stupid or they discover that what they're doing is lying, people call them out on their mistakes or the crap that they've said, hoping that they fix whatever they've done. There's not a single ounce of fanboyism here. We let performance, testing, pricing, and facts determine our buying choices. Really, no PC gamer is Team Intel for life. And it's not just CPUs. This argument applies to anything. It could be RAM, it could be graphics cards, it could be motherboards. Now, when it comes to consoles, however, things are vastly different. As someone who's considered himself a console gamer from the days of the SNES and the Sega Genesis, I've had my fair share of consoles growing up. When it came to PC gaming back in those days, it was mostly restricted to local LAN parties and junk. So playing games like Counter-Strike, Unreal Tournament, Quake, those were the type of things that you usually play on PC. But when it came to home gaming, it was nothing but consoles for me. As of 2013, however, I noticed a lot of things changed and I didn't like the direction that it was going. And yeah, I've always known about the whole console wars things, going back from the Nintendo and Sega days, coming up to Sony and Microsoft. But the amount of toxicity in the console community between Sony and Microsoft, man, Jesus. I guess you could say my ascension out of presentry really started in 2013 when Microsoft presented the Xbox One. Now, as an Xbox 360 owner, originally I was looking forward to taking that next step. But to me, it was just ridiculous that anyone could consider buying something that offers less performance, so many restrictions, and costs so much more than its competition. Now, as you guys can tell, I could not share any of my thoughts with any of my friends in the Xbox community. Whenever I did, they always lashed out, telling me that I sold out to Sony. A few of them even removed me from their friends list because of what I said. Can you imagine that? Removing someone from your friends list simply because they thought another console was a better buying choice than the one that they're buying. Shame, really. And here I thought I was simply buying a console that was, at the time performing better, had a lower price, and had a bigger gaming library. So I bought a PlayStation 4 regardless, and for a while I just used the PlayStation 4 and my Xbox 360. Now, mind you, migrating from one ecosystem to another is not as easy as you think. There were some things I just didn't like at all. I didn't like the UI, and I hated the fact that I couldn't organize it because, when you have your Xbox 360, you have your little thing there that says games, and when you click in games, all of your games are there. Initially on the PlayStation 4, there was no organization. Everything was just everywhere. So you had to literally be scrolling through that long list of apps and games to find what you were looking for. And I did not like that. There was no DLNA at the time, so I could not listen to any of my music or watch any TV shows from my locally shared network drive. You couldn't record gaming videos using a capture card or anything like that. A good chunk of the features and games available on PSN are region locked, so I couldn't buy a single thing even if I tried. I was literally forced to use Amazon. But then again, I guess it was for the best, considering that PSN gets hacked so much that I would dread to have my credit card information there, seriously. Now, it's one thing to have your issues eventually heard, noted, and to have something done about it, because most of these issues that I had have been fixed by now through patches and, various updates. But every single time I did raise an issue like this on the PlayStation forums, they were dismissed as nitpicking. People were so enthralled by Sony and the PlayStation 4 that anytime someone raised an issue about it, it was literally met with "Quit your bitching, hail Sony." Hell, even when PSN Plus became a paid service, people seemed submissive when initially they ridiculed Xbox owners for having to pay for gold. It kind of seems a bit two-faced if you ask me. Not only that, but I've seen Sony take a stand against decisions which would be good for gamers. When Microsoft announced backwards compatibility with Xbox 360 games, Sony said, no, we're not doing that. When EA said, hey, you guys should, get EA access. We provide this service to you. Sony said, no, we're not doing that. And they did all of this simply because they wanted to remove any competition from PS Now, which, if you ask me, is at the blockbuster of digital game distribution. Seriously, why the hell would I pay $19 plus a subscription fee to play an old game for a week? Not even for the duration of my PSN subscription, for a week. To subject your customers to having less choices simply because you want to make more money off of them? To me, that's the pinnacle of anti-consumerism. Yet Sony fanboys seem to go along with this and defend it to the death. So yeah, I got an Xbox One eventually because, as I mentioned, I was originally an Xbox 360 owner And I was really on board with the backwards compatibility initiative as well as EA Access. Now, guess what happened when I told my friends on PS4 what I was doing? Yep, I got kicked from my Destiny clan on PS4 and I got unfriended by a few people. It's really funny, isn't it? And honestly, I just don't get the tribalism that people on the console sides have towards each other. If you talk about owning a PlayStation 4 in an Xbox chat group, you're gonna get silence or people talking crap about you. And if you talk about owning an Xbox on the PS4 chat group, you're gonna get the same thing. People are gonna be silent or they're gonna talk crap about you. And I just don't understand, because both consoles play the same games at the same FPS and at the same resolutions. Well, almost at the same resolutions, but I have a 720p TV, so it makes no difference to me. But honestly, what makes these people so hostile towards each other? To the point that you can't even talk about owning a different console without someone out there calling you names and saying all sorts of crap about you. Every year, E3 rolls around and I keep hearing people ask the same questions. Who won E3? Was it Microsoft? Was it Sony? And each side would jump up saying their side won without an ounce of objectivity. Look, both boxes to me are the same. And there's no justification for me going out to buy a PlayStation 4 Pro or an Xbox One so long as my current consoles still work. And if you ask me, I'm just glad Microsoft had more new IPs on their panel, because most of those games will be available on PC. And if I want the true 4K gaming experience, I can just play it on my PC whenever I get my 4K monitor. And honestly, it doesn't matter to me whoever has timed exclusivity, because eventually PC is going to get it and it's going to play it better. It's going to play it at 1440p or 4K, and it's going to play it at 60 FPS. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, every single game coming out on these consoles will be capped at 30 FPS, because in Microsoft and Sony's minds, no one can tell the difference between 30 FPS and 60 FPS. I kid you not, people really believe that having a higher resolution is more important than playing on a smoother frame rate. Now, I'm not trying to sway anyone's decisions from buying whichever box they want to buy, whether it be an Xbox One X or a PlayStation 4. I'll probably get one eventually when my current console breaks down or whatever. But when it comes to consoles, I'm no longer letting companies make decisions for me. I'm not letting them decide which games I can play, how I want to play, and when I can play. Much less the people in the community that throw feces at other people whenever they raise a valid point of criticism on the console. Because, you know, they take these type of things serious, like personal. So yeah, that's why I now mainly play on PC. Now, I don't expect this video to get a lot of views, but I made it because I know a few of my friends have been asking why they haven't seen me on my consoles so much. And yeah, and for those who see it, they might agree with me, or they might try to, you know, pick up points out of my video, try to rip it apart and call my video garbage. But either way, whatever you think about it, you can leave your comments below or on my Facebook page or even my Twitter. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel as well. And if you don't like it, well, you can also leave constructive criticism as well. But thanks for watching, guys, if you made it all the way through. And until the next time, peace!